fifth tee blocks at the 5th hole at River Ridge Golf Course in Selah, about to tee off. I'm struck once again by a thought. Who the heck developed this game? Later, as I approached the green on the same fairway, and I watched my little favorite green ball roll across the too fast green, over the side, down the hill, and into the lake, I remember those prophetic words that friends told me when I told them I'd bought a membership at River Ridge. Take lots of balls, they said. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I have resumed the game of golf after a many year hiatus. And indeed, it is every time I take a bad swing, or miss my shot, or muff a putt into the hole, I again recall that thought, who thought up this game? I had to find this out. My Google research shows me that in 1297, thereabouts, in the land of Holland, my fatherland, the game was developed by Colvin of Holland and Chloe of Belgium. They developed the idea of taking a stick and chasing a rock around rabbit runs and trails and natural sand dunes. Pretty much the way I reflected the game of golf is today, or at least the way I play it. Now, the mention of golf comes up again in 1360 when the Council of Brussels banned the game of golf. Indeed, you could be fined 20 shilling and forfeit your overcoat if you were caught playing golf. That's a pretty steep price in 1360. I envision all these clandestine golf games taking place in the far-off countryside while errant court marshals and government officials were busy chasing people playing golf. Now, what Colvin and Chloe's game of golf probably lacked was what the Scots brought to it: the hole. Yes, the pesky hole. Now imagine a young bored shepherd sitting in the Scottish Highlands as his flock stood around grazing. He had nothing better to do to pick up a stick, and noticing a rabbit run down a hole, think, I'll just try and bat my rock into that hole and see how that goes. And indeed, this is where the game of golf really took off. It was in the Kingdom of Fife on the eastern coast of Scotland where it really became a formalized game and a sport. In fact, it became so popular, it became detrimental. Indeed, when Scotland was preparing to defend itself against the English invasion, King James went to Parliament and implored them, please ban this game, because you see, the young soldiers were neglecting their military training, namely archery, to go play golf. Can you imagine choosing to take a stick and chase a rock around the countryside instead of being able to stand calmly in front of a stationary target and pull your arrow back with your bow and let it fly? I think the Scots were ahead of the game on cardiovascular activities. Now even Mary, Queen of Scots, found herself in hot water when she defied the ban and played the game of golf. This became even more horrifying because it was considered totally unsuitable for a woman to be playing golf. And it was in Scotland where the rules of golf became formalized. And indeed, there are the leaf rules, and there are 13 articles of the original rules. One such as, you must tee your ball if you're within a club's length of a hole. Hey folks, if I could get within a club's length of a hole, any day I would be happy. Should your ball hit a person, a horse, a dog, or a cart, and so lie there, that is where you must play your ball. Note to self, leave your horse at home. Now this is the rule that makes me look like I'm playing for high score instead of low. Should you make as to swing your club and act as a stroke, and indeed do make a stroke with your club, it shall be counted as stroke. In other words, I whiff the ball. I take a mighty swing and it still sits there on the tee. Now this is totally embarrassing, and especially because you know there's always somebody watching when you do that. Well, by the 1600s, golf had left Scotland and moved into England. And by the 1900s, it had totally left the shores and into other countries. And by the 20th century, it was taking over in the United States. In fact, Mark Twain allegedly snarked, "Golf, a good walk spoiled." I think many people would disagree with Mark. I know I do. Now here I stand, a modern day woman, much the way Mary Queen of Scots stood, without the crown or the crinoline, with my modern day stick and my modern day rock, as I prepare to tee off at the 6th fairway. A water hazard. But it's just a short drive, 130 yards across the lake, left of the grove of trees, short of where the folks are walking to the next fairway, and that water hazard. And I think to myself those prophetic words, "Take lots of balls, Mr. Toastmaster."